Your call will be recorded for verification and training purposes.
Welcome to Ministry of Justice, Peter speaking.
Yes, hello. How are you?
Thanks.
Good, good. PPN number.
Thank you. Who am I speaking to?
Mark.
No, I'll get you to confirm your full name, Mark.
The corporation sold's full name. It was birthed on the 6th.
Are you calling for a company or are you calling for yourself?
I'm calling for myself.
You mentioned corporate.
Well, there's two types of persons, isn't there? There's the natural person, the human being, and then there's the artificial person, the birth certificate, which we function through in society.
No. I don't really need to go that far.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right.
How can I help?
Basically, what I need to know is, on the 13th of last week, basically, I spoke to Laura Hamilton from the Ministry of Justice, and she sent me out a fine summary sheet.
Yep.
On the fine summary, it had two, CCN or CRN, or two things imposed on it there. Both were for $30 speeding tickets, which amounted to $60.67 each. One payment had been made on the 11th of June, and the balance was $101.34. As far as I'm aware or know of, that's the only two fines that were out there under that corporation soul's name. Now, the question I have is that on the 17th of June, 4 days later, I was sent a variation of attachment order deduction notice from Lisa Kennedy in the Waitakere District Court, Deputy Registrar, telling me that there is, obviously there's been a variation. From what I could make out, the two fines, one fine had the attachment order and the second fine hadn't got to that point yet. So, but the problem being is that this letter on the 17th of June, 4 days later after seeing this fine summary, says that I have a total outstanding amount of $183.56. Why?
It's because one fine has been enforced because it was overdue, so an enforcement fee of $102.22 was added. And
sorry, how was it being enforced?
Because it became an overdue fine.
Both of them went through the court and had court dates. So how are they an overdue fine?
Yeah, and the court date shows that if it's not paid in full by that due date, or our due date, the ministry's due date,
yeah,
it can be enforced.
So why was one enforced and not the other?
That was the officer's discretion. So, I mean, if you want the other fine to be enforced, then we'll add another enforcement fee on top of the other fine. Well,
I mean, I charge $15,000 for receiving attachment orders from the Ministry of Justice anyway. So that's, I mean, if you want to do that, I'm just curious.
You charge $15,000.
I charge up to $15,000 for receiving attachment orders. I gave a notice of my fee schedule to the Ministry of Justice. They were aware of this.
You are really confusing me. When
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to confuse you, please. It's nothing personal.
But you are.
Oh.
To not charge a court order.
I can charge for receiving any attachment order or penalty charge notice. It's a penalty charge notice, and it is my understanding that legislation is not law. It is only an act of Parliament, given the force of law with given consent. Now, I have not voted or given consent in any way to be governed by the Ministry of Justice or by any minister of the government. The legislature is only commercial law. The difference between legal and lawful. Lawful applies to the natural person, the human, and legal applies to commercial maritime law, which is law of the sea. Are you still there?
I'm here, and to be perfectly honest with you, Mark, I don't really need to hear all that information. I
okay.
Identifying.
I was just, well, then why did you say that if I would like, you would impose the other enforcement?
You're asking me why wasn't the other one enforced? I mean...
Well, no, I'm saying what you said it's at the officer's discretion.
I'm basically answering your question.
Okay, so which officer used their discretion to use an enforcement when the other one didn't? I have no information about who did any of this. The last bit of correspondence I had in regards to these two fines was with the Waitakere court on the 15th of April. Then 28th of May comes along, and I find out that an attachment order had been sent to an address which I haven't used for 3 years, so I had no notice that an attachment order had even been served upon me. And then money starts coming out of the benefit. So I had no notification whatsoever of any attachment orders until I rung up you guys, and you guys sent me out a copy on the 13th. So I'm sort of playing catch-up.
But when you were pulled over by police, what address did you give police?
I wasn't pulled over. These are speed camera tickets. The photo didn't even show who was driving, and the car is registered to more than one person. Here's the whole dilemma.
I'll do a rego check.
Well, the rego check's FAN 394. It's registered to myself and my wife.
Yeah, so that's why it comes to you.
Okay,
but you just told me the vehicle is registered to more than one person.
It is. It's registered to my wife's corporation and to my own.
You're the first owner? You're the first owner?
Yes. I'm the first one on it.
Yeah, so that's why it comes to you. So if you're a lawyer, if you say you've studied law, you should...
No, I'm not a lawyer. The Law Society is a private law society. I've got nothing to do with it.
But you should know that if you're the first owner, anything under this vehicle comes to you.
Yeah, but I wasn't... That is my private automobile. I wasn't using it as a vehicle. I was exercising my right to travel freely along the common way in my private automobile. I was not functioning in a commercial capacity.
Yeah, but speeding, though. Doesn't matter which capacity it is. It's speeding legally.
Well, okay, but the speeding rules apply through a Land Transport Safety Act, does it not?
No, it's police.
Yeah, well, either way, it's the Land Transport Safety Authority or the Land Transport Act of 1990, I think it is.
Police only.
Okay. Either way, they are the ones that informed the court.
By now.
Pardon?
I thought you would have known that by now.
Excuse me, why are you giving me attitude?
Because you are giving me a whole lot of information that is totally, to be perfectly honest, it is totally irrelevant. You're talking about commercial law and...
Yeah, maritime law, which is what you guys operate under.
To be honest, I don't really need to hear that. All I'm interested in is your fines and what you want to inquire about the attachment order that's been imposed on your file.
I was questioning why there was the difference in 4 days when one says here that on my, fine summary report here, it says on the 13th, under arrangement was the first one on the 22nd of the 4th, which was the second fine, and the first one, which I showed up for court for, then says imposed, and that was the first fine but lagged on for another 6 weeks after the first one.
Yep.
So hence why I rung and asked why at $183 when I'm looking at a fine summary 4 days earlier that says 101.
You've received a fine summary saying 101?
The fine summary that Laura Hamilton from the Ministry of Justice sent me on the 13th of June states total for case listed 101.34. It lists 2 CCN CRN numbers. Would you like them?
What are those CCN numbers?
CCN number, and that says under arrangement, which is the one that has had the attachment order enforced and started coming out of my benefit, which brought my attention to the whole thing. And then the second one was the one I actually appeared in court on the 8th of April for which was which says imposed, but it doesn't say anything about any enforcement arrangement type. That's blank, and it's still current balance is outstanding at the same amount, 60.67.
Next to imposed, what was the date on that?
The date's imposed, 16th of the 5th.
Yep, so that was the date that it came to court.
Okay, so do I get any paperwork from the court in regards to this?
You would have then received a notice, which is called a notice of fine?
No, nothing.
It was issued to you?
What address was it issued to?
We've got it here. We sent it to 270 or...
Owaia Road?
Yep.
That is the same address that I haven't used for 3 years.
Yep. Well, that is the address that we had on record, and that would have been the address that we had in our system. Okay.
Okay.
We won't know your address unless you update us or unless you register your vehicles with Land Transport.
I do not understand why that didn't happen, but I also notified the Ministry of Justice on the 17th of May of my postal address, and for all records must be sent to that address from then onwards.
Yes, that was recently. Recently you confirmed and update your details with us?
Recently, on a month and a half ago, I let you guys know.
Is it Waitakere Road?
That's the postal address, correct?
Yep.
70 Waitakere Road hasn't been used for 3 years. And all other correspondence I've had from the Ministry of Justice has either gone to 1 Fletcher Road or it has gone to 1...
Well, then that's probably why you did not get the real mail from us.
So you guys sent... Can I have a copy of that, of what you're saying was sent out to 2 Road then, please? Because I haven't received any notifications of fines whatsoever from you guys.
I can't reprint out the notice of fine. It's a system-generated letter. It cannot be reprinted unless you want to go down to the courthouse and have a look where we sent correspondence to.
The fact that you guys even sent me the New Zealand Police, the Ministry of Justice, have been sending me correspondence for months.
But you've just advised that if that's the case, how could you not have received the notice of fines then?
Because it was sent to an address that I haven't used for 3 years, and all of the other...
Which is the address that we've had. So how could you have received correspondence from us for months? I've got copies of letters here, all with your letterhead on it, with my name and address under it. 128 Fletcher Road, 1 bar 28. Pardon? What's the address that's on there?
Well, I've got one here dated with Ministry of Justice seal on the top, 21st of May, addressed to myself, and it is from...
What is that letter called?
Sorry, this is a jury service letter, actually.
Well, that's not for the fines department.
Okay, so you guys have different addresses for different departments, all pertaining to me.
So the jury service letter, where was that sent to?
I sent that to Kevin Smiley in the National Jury Processing Unit, and I got an acknowledgement receipt of that letter on the 17th of May.
No, please answer my question. The jury service letter, which address was that letter sent to?
That was sent to a P.O. box number, actually, which I check over in Torbay. I mean, either way, there's 3 possible addresses that you guys could have got in contact me with, and instead it was sent to an address that I haven't used for 3 years.
Yep. Whatever address we had on record is what the address where we will send correspondence to. It is up to you to update your details with us.
Which I did do, thinking I was...
Recently.
I was sending Kevin Smiley from the jury.
Okay, I mean, this call is not really going anywhere. I don't see the point of me going any further. In regards to the attachment order only...
Yeah, my questions were in regards to the variation in price on the attachment orders within a 4-day period.
That happened because we had a fine that came into us.
Yep.
Okay, on the 16th of May. However, it became an overdue fine because you did not respond about that particular fine.
How can
you included it in the attachment order to your benefit.
How can I respond to that? I mean, you guys are putting an attachment order on a benefit that doesn't even have that address. I mean...
You send it straight to Work and Income, you get your copy.
So if I can... Sorry? What does Work and Income...
An attachment order goes straight to Work and Income New Zealand.
Yes.
That authorises them to deduct it from your benefits.
Yeah, the Ministry of Social Development, Central Processing Unit. I've got a copy of that here, yep. And I got that on the 13th from you guys when I noticed money starting coming out of my benefit.
Okay, so a copy goes to them and a copy comes to you to your address, which presumes to be the old address.
Waitakere Road. I find it amazing that the Ministry of Justice has different departments with different addresses. How on earth can you keep track of everybody?
I'm not going to go into that. That is out of my jurisdiction. I would not comment.
Well, my whole point was the Ministry of Justice had no jurisdiction in the first place. I haven't consented to it.
You don't need to consent to it.
I don't need... Are we governed in New Zealand by consent?
You do not need to consent to us issuing an attachment order. We can issue that accordingly. Then you should know that under the Summary Proceedings Act 1957, enforce any unpaid fines, and that's exactly what we've done. Okay,
and the government only has force over the artificial person when that person chooses to consent to be governed, which I have not done. I have not consented. I haven't voted.
You don't need to vote.
Do I have to be on an electoral roll?
No, you don't even need to be on the electoral roll. If your fine comes here and if you don't make contact, we can legally take enforcement action.
So legally I don't even need to be on the electoral roll?
That's up to you. That's your call.
Really? Because I got a letter from Fiona Baker at the electorer's office telling me that it's against...
Hey, Mark, I am now going to terminate this call. I'm not going to go any...
Goodbye.